Hello my friends and welcome in the first English episode of the series In the Shadow of Yggdrasil. This is episode 1 and it's about the birth of the world. Vikings, horned helmets, Thor's hammer, the diabolical Loki. Well, forget the helmets. The Vikings never wore them. But keep the rest and get ready for something far wilder, far deeper and infinitely more thrilling than what you think you know. Welcome to In the Shadow of Yggdrasil, a journey into the heart of Norse mythology. You may know Thor and Loki from the movies. You may have heard of Odin, the warriors of Valhalla, and Ragnarok, the end of the world, but the original myths, well, those are something else entirely. These are stories carved into frozen stones and whispered around fires for centuries. Stories about gods who are not entirely good and giants who are not entirely evil. These are stories about a world born from the kiss of fire and ice and built on the corpse of a giant. In this podcast we leave the modern, watered-down versions behind and pick up the thread from the start. Together we will walk the 9 worlds under the branches of the great tree. We will chase wisdom with Odin and fight monsters at Thor's side. And we will try to understand Loki, the most enigmatic god of them all. I have no interest in giving you a dry academic lecture. I want to tell the stories, to bring them to life, and to ask what they meant for the people who believed them, what they said about life and war, about fate and death. My name is Polydevkis. I have written 3 books on Norse mythology in Greek, and on this journey I will be your guide. One quick word before the story. In the Shadow of Yggdrasil is a Greek podcast. The rest of this feed is in Greek, and the show will carry on in Greek. This episode is a little different. The old myths belong to everyone, so I recorded our first episode in English as well, for friends of the show beyond Greece. Think of it as an open door. If you walk through it and want more, tell me, leave a review or send me a message, and more English episodes will follow. Welcome to the first episode of our journey through Norse mythology. Today we begin at the beginning, of course. No, further back than that. Before the world, before the gods, before everything. Nearly everything you will hear in this podcast comes from 2 old books, our main sources, the Poetic Edda and the Prose Edda. The Poetic Edda is the older of the 2. It's a collection of 34 anonymous poems, most of them composed between 850 and 1050 AD. For centuries, these poems survived only by word of mouth, passed from one storyteller to the next. They were finally written down in manuscripts of the 13th century. The most important of these is the Codex Regius, which turned up in 1643, spent 3 centuries in the Royal Library of Copenhagen, and finally went home to Iceland in 1971, where it is kept to this day. The other is the Prose Edda, written around 1220 by the Icelandic historian and poet Snorri Sturluson. The Prose Edda is almost like a handbook of mythology. Snorri was a Christian who loved the old stories, and he set out to put the ancient myths in order and save them from being forgotten, along with the poet's craft that went with them. Those 2 books are the core of what we know. The story you will hear today comes from these books and perhaps the most important poem of the Poetic Edda, the Voluspo, the prophecy of the series. It is the closest thing Norse mythology has to a Bible, a vision of the creation and the destruction of the world revealed to Odin himself by a wise woman, a series brought back to life. Imagine nothingness, absolute nothing. Not darkness, because darkness is something. Not silence, because silence is something too. Imagine a chasm, a gigantic primordial void. The Norse called it Ginnungagap, the yawning abyss, the great gaping void. There was no day there and no night, no earth, no sky, no sun, no sea, no cool waves, only possibility, pure raw possibility. At the edges of this void, two forces waited and stared at each other across the chaos. To the north lay Niflheim, the world of everlasting ice and freezing mist, where the frozen rivers called the Elivangar flowed, a dead, absolute cold. To the south lay Muspelheim, the world of fire and lava, a light that burns, an eternal violent heat. Fire and ice, heat and cold, two opposites. At some moment in a time when time did not yet exist, they met. The flames of Muspelheim reached all the way to Niflheim. Scorching air met frozen mist, and the ice began to melt. And from that collision, from the kiss of fire and ice, right at the point where they met, life was born. From the drops of melting ice from steam and dew, the first being took shape. Ymir. Ymir was a frost giant, the first living thing that ever existed, and from him came the whole race of frost giants. He was huge and savage, a thing shaped like a man. As he slept, more giants were born from the sweat of his armpits. His legs mated with each other and brought forth still more. All by himself, Ymir was a factory of new life, and none of it answered to anyone. Alongside Ymir appeared another creature, Audumla, a giant primordial cow. She too born of the melting ice. From her udders flowed 4 rivers of milk, and on this milk Ymir fed. And the cow, what did she eat? Audumla licked the salty ice that lay around her. As she licked, little by little, something began to show, a figure hidden inside the ice. On the first day, the hair appeared. On the second day, the head. On the third day, the whole man stood free, and so, out of the ice, the adversary of the ice was born. This was Buri, the first of the gods. From Buri came Bor, and from Bor came 3 brothers, Odin, Vili, and Ve. These 3 brothers, Buri's grandsons, were the first of the Aesir. They looked at Ymir, this huge, chaotic creature that kept spawning new monsters, and they saw raw, lawless power. They saw the threat, and they understood that for a world to exist, for order to exist, chaos had to die. So they made the decision that would lay the foundations of everything. They killed Ymir. They killed him, and from his wounds gushed so much blood that it flooded the world, a cosmic deluge. Every frost giant he had ever spawned drowned in that blood. everyone but Bergelmir, who escaped with his family in a wooden ark. He would become the new father of the race of giants. Hold on to that name, because the giants are going to matter. And then the three gods did the unthinkable. They became the first architects. They took Ymir's dead body and built the world out of it. From his flesh they made the earth, the same soil we stand on right now. From his blood the seas, the lakes, and all the waters of the earth. From his bones, the mountains. From his teeth and his shattered bones, the rocks and the gravel. From his hair, the trees and the plants. From his huge skull they made the sky, the dome above our heads. And to hold it up they set 4 dwarfs at the 4 corners of the world. Nordri in the north, Sudri in the south, Austri in the east, and Vestri in the west. Even his brain, they flung it into the air and it became the clouds that drift across the sky. And last of all they took Ymir's eyebrows and built a great wall, a fortress, to protect the world they had just made from the giants who might one day come back. That place they named Midgard, the middle world. The world was built on a murder, on a sacrifice. It was built on violence, and that violence created order. Out of the chaos of Ymir came the world we know. The gods gathered at Ithavol, the sacred plain. There they built temples and high halls, set up forges, made hammers and anvils. They raised their own realm, glorious Asgard. This was their golden age, a time of innocence and joy, when the gods played their games and wanted nothing. This peace didn't last. From Jotunheim, the land of the giants, 3 mighty giantesses arrived in Asgard. Their coming brought the first note of discord, the first shadow across the light. Perhaps they brought greed, perhaps the knowledge of evil. Either way, the age of innocence was over. The gods then turned to making new life. First they saved the dwarfs, the master craftsmen of the world below, out of the earth, and the maggots that fed on Ymir's flesh. 2 of them stood out, Motsoknir the mightiest, and Durin the wisest. The gods gave them form and names, and they became smiths without equal. And then it was our turn. The turn of humankind. At the edge of the land on the shore, the 3 brothers, Odin, Vili and Ve, or in different tellings, Odin, Hönir and Lodur, found 2 tree trunks washed up on the sand. Just wood. Dead. No life in them. Nor breath. They named them Ask the ass and Embla the elm. Odin leaned close and breathed on them. He gave them breath and life, the first gaze. Hönir or Vili touched them. He gave them mind and motion. The first thought, the first question. Lodur or Ve gave them blood, warmth and a fair face, the first blush on their cheeks. And that is how the human race was born, made to live in Midgard, behind the walls the gods had raised for it. But the world they made was not one world, it was 7 more. 7 realms, 9 in total. 9 realms of existence, and what holds them all together? How do they connect? one thing joins them all, something colossal. Yggdrasil, the world tree. Imagine a tree. No, imagine the tree. A gigantic, ageless ash, so vast that its roots reach down into the underworld and its branches brush the sky. Yggdrasil is the frame of the universe, the backbone of everything that exists. At its crown, high in the branches, lies Asgard, world of the Aesir gods. Odin, Thor, and all the others were going to meet. Beside it, Vanaheim, world of the Vanir, another tribe of gods closer to the earth and to nature. And Alfheim, home of the Light Elves. Somewhere in the middle, protected, lies Midgard. This is our world, the world of humans. Around it stretches Jotunheim, land of the giants, the descendants of Bergelmir. Under the earth lies Svartalheim, land of the dark elves, the dwarves. This is also known in some tales as Nindavellir. And down at the roots, what lies there? There lie the three oldest worlds. Niflheim, the frozen world of darkness. Muspelheim, the world of fire. And Helheim, the world of the dead. The dark kingdom of the goddess Hel, where those who die of sickness or old age go, instead of falling in battle. Nine worlds, all alive, all connected. They hang like fruit from the branches of Yggdrasil. But the tree is no quiet paradise. Yggdrasil suffers. A dragon named Nidhogg gnaws at his roots without rest. A huge eagle sits at its crown and watches everything. Deer strip its leaves and its young shoots. And a squirrel, a ratatoskr, a born gossip, runs up and down the trunk all day and carries messages of hatred between the eagle at the top and the dragon at the roots. This tree, my friends, is a living allegory. The universe is not stable. It hangs in a fragile balance. Something is always eating away at it, and someone is always tending it. Yggdrasil has three enormous roots. Under the first lies Urdabrunn, the well of fate. There sits the three great Norns, Urd, Verdandi, and Skuld. They are the fates, and not even Odin can change what they weave. Urd is the past, that which has come to pass. Verdandi is the present, that which is happening right now. And Skuld is the future, that which is yet to come. And every day they draw water and clay from the sacred well and water the tree, to keep it alive against the dragon. Under the second root lies the well of Ymir. Its waters hold deep wisdom and knowledge. And yes, we will be talking about that well again, because Odin gave one of his eyes for a single drink from it. Under the third root lies Helgermil, the spring from which all rivers flow. Yggdrasil decays without end and renews itself without end also. No one knows when it first grew. And at Ragnarok, at the end of the world, Yggdrasil will tremble. It will bend, but it will hold. The tree is eternal and it keeps the worlds in balance. And once the world was made and humans walked in it, the first great war came. Not against the giants, it was a war between the gods themselves. The Aesir of Asgard, Odin's tribe, against the Vanir of Vanaheim. the warlike Aesir against the more peaceful Vanir. Nobody remembers anymore what started it, but it was brutal. In the end, the two tribes made peace and sealed it by exchanging hostages. That exchange is how some of the most important gods came to Asgard, Freya among them. We will get to their stories pretty soon. So, this is our starting point: the Yawning Abyss, Ymir, the Nine Worlds, and Yggdrasil. From nothing at all to everything there is, from chaos to order. But notice one thing: the Norse world was not born out of love or a kind word. It was born of violence, of fire against ice. It was born of murder. This is a world built, quite literally, on the corpse of a giant. And that violence, that tension, does not stop here. It runs through everything. In the next episode, we meet the mind behind all of this, the master builder, Odin, the All-Father, the god who made the decision to kill Ymir and build the world, the god who rules Asgard with an iron grip, a god who hunts wisdom so desperately that he will sacrifice anything for it. His own eye, his own self, hanged for 9 days and nights on Yggdrasil itself. Thanks for listening. See you in the next episode.